Hi and welcome to this explanation video of my online course for parents called the LateTalkers Bootcamp course. Would you like to give your child speech therapy from home and get them talking in as little as 60 days? Would you like me to be the one that is offering you the step-by-step and the tips and the tricks for how to grow your late talkers child? Well, then stick with me, and for the next 20 minutes, I will tell you all about the LateTalkers Bootcamp course and why it will be such a useful manual for you to have as you try to grow your own child's language. Hi, my name is Lorna Muthamia Ochido, and in my 10 years as a speech therapist, I am seeing far too many children whose home environment is a cause of their delayed language. The shocking truth is that we see approximately 700 children for speech therapy sessions every single month at our clinic, and it breaks my heart that a majority of these children we see have delays that could have been mitigated if their parents were empowered with what to do at home. Ask yourself these questions. Do you have a child with a speech and language delay? Would you like to be empowered as a parent on what you can start to do to be able to grow your child's language? Would you like to learn how to provide speech therapy for your own child? Like I provided speech therapy to all my 3 children up to where they were talking and are thriving with their language skills. Are you currently accessing speech therapy services? Is your child aged between 18 months and 5 years and isn't saying as many words as they ought to say? So who am I? Ever since I can remember, I've always been a problem solver. I've always loved to serve, to offer ideas that alleviate burden and are sustainable in nature. And that is why I made it my mission to educate parents and help them be empowered in order for them to realize full communication outcomes for their children. So I got into speech therapy after the experience my family had with my youngest sister, who was born with a hearing impairment. I left the country and had my youngest sister accompany me to New Zealand, where she was able to access specialist education and services for her condition, and I pursued my studies in speech therapy. I vowed that I would make a difference in speech therapy, in the speech therapy field in Kenya, because I witnessed growing up my parents being so frustrated that they could not find a local speech therapist, or a speech therapist for that matter, to be able to offer speech therapy services to my sister. I was not prepared for the situation that met me when I returned to the country in 2010. I witnessed a lot of children who had missed out on their early intervention period. This is the earliest possible time that a child could access intervention that would mitigate the issues that they are presenting with. I also witnessed no government subsidy on the cost of therapy. I just experienced culture shock, about many things, work ethics, integrity, were just many things that I felt that I was, not used to after practicing in Australia and New Zealand for a few years. I also, though, noticed that parental skills here were very much different, in that most parents that I met did not know what they could do or how their home environments were contributing to the issues that their children were experiencing. So like a lot of the children that I met were overexposed to screens, and as a consequence they were understimulated. I was also concerned that I was only serving a very small percentage of the population, either because they couldn't afford me or they couldn't access me easily because of distance. Most of the children being brought to my clinic had issues that I felt could have been mitigated through parental knowledge. Most of the children were also not achieving timely results, so even the ones that were coming for speech therapy sessions, if the home environments were not modified, we were still not getting as fast a progress that as I would have expected. And most of these children were also being taken care of by house helps, which in itself is not an issue, but these house helps also happen to not have been sufficiently equipped to be able to grow a child's language. So after months and months of pondering on how I can best empower and serve more parents in spite of my long waiting list and huge cost of speech therapy, I created the LateTalkers Bootcamp course. The course teaches you the exact steps to systematically grow your child's language skills and establish a strong foundation for all other learning. A child who enters school without the requisite number of words or vocabulary is always going to be at a disadvantage compared to the other children who've had a strong foundation. I say to parents the foundational skills, growing your child's language is like the foundation of a building. So the building, for the sturdiness of the entire structure, the foundation has to be strong. It has to be well established. So these early years for parents is a time that you strengthen that foundation so that anything else, is a breeze for your child. So they can actually withstand anything else. They'll have ensured communication, optimum communication outcomes, as well as real life outcomes as well. So what I was witnessing at the clinic is that parents just did not know what they need to focus on if they have a child that is a bit, difficult to grow, whose language is difficult to grow. So they were always working on the things that really don't grow a child's language, like counting. So I've encountered children who can count to 100, but they can't actually say mama, they can't say baba. They were teaching colors, they were teaching the alphabet. I mean, I've witnessed everything. I've even witnessed a child who is able to count backwards from 200, but actually can't say their names. So I just thought to myself, if parents had the information about what they can focus on, and they are very, very simple things, then this would make, this will ensure that more children have their communication skills optimized. So the LateTalkers Bootcamp course has 2 modules, or rather it has 2 parts. You have 1.0 and 2.0. You don't have to purchase both. So the 1.0 is for a parent who has a child who is nonverbal, or at least has less than 50 words. So in that course, you are taught all the things to focus on, how to take advantage of the little moments you have. If you're a busy parent and you only have 20 minutes in a day, that 20 minutes is sufficient to be able to grow your LateTalkers language. So you will get all the tips, all the steps to help you be able to grow your child's language to at least 50 words, but even beyond. And then LateTalkers Bootcamp 2.0 is more for a child that already has some single words, probably already has a vocabulary of 50, but is delayed for their age. So in there are many more modules that go into how you can start to get your child to combine words to make sentences and start to grow their vocabulary more robustly. So what is contained in each of the courses? The LateTalkers Bootcamp 1.0, as I said, has fewer modules than 2.0. It has 5 modules actually. So module 1 is titled Setting a Good Foundation. In this module, you learn about the critical brain development period and a very nifty technique of growing a child's language that's referred to as serve and return. Then module 2 is all about putting in all the things that your child needs to have in place before they can start to talk. So the module 2 is titled Before Your Child Starts to Talk. So how to develop pre-verbal skills. What are pre-verbal skills? So pre-verbal skills are the skills that your child needs to master before they can go on to develop single words. Then module 3, all the techniques that actually get you to have your child talking in no time at all. So these language stimulatory techniques, I go through them. I explain to you some basic ones, like how you can repeat and how you can do various things that help children talk. I mean, these are the techniques I've used myself with all my children, as well as my clients at the clinic. And I can get any child, even the most difficult to interact with, to talk, just because I have mastered these language stimulatory techniques. And in this module as well, I talk about the importance of giving instructions to your children, because giving instructions actually it improves a child's understanding, and understanding skills precede and exceed expressive skills, which means your child needs to understand first before they can actually talk. So I see parents come in and they say their child isn't saying words, and the fixation is the child has to be saying mama, saying baba, saying so many other words, and this child is not even following a single instruction. So the place to start is giving instruction, and not just any instructions. There are instructions that grow a child's language, and the instructions that really just encourage compliance. And really you need to know the difference, and you need to be focused on both, but more importantly, the one that grows language. And I explain to you how to use instructions as a tool for growing your child's language. Then module 4, we get into the peas and potatoes. I think I was looking for an opportunity to say peas and potatoes. So first words. So first words, really, this is what all parents are are wanting to hear from their child who's late in talking, to hear them say their first words. And believe it or not, the choice of words to teach first is important, because you don't want to get into a situation where your child has many, many words, and I see this, they could even have as many as 500 words, but they are not even able to put words together. And that really is a factor of the kind of words that the parents chose to focus on as a child's first vocabulary. And then the final module, module 5, I explain a few more tips for encouraging your child to talk, how you can set up sufficient communication temptations. What are those? It's all explained in the course. The course is really easy to follow. It has everything you would ever need to be able to grow your late talkers language. And then there are lots of bonuses that you get in the 1.0 course. You get some of our nursery rhymes. Sometimes you think, nursery rhymes are everywhere. But if your child is being cared for by a house help, for example, you don't want them just being sang to gospel songs, because I'll tell you that's what happens, or some other pop songs that don't have the features that nursery rhymes have. Nursery rhymes have salient words. They have rhyming words that really trigger intrigue and are highly motivating for children. And if used in the way that I prescribe, it helps your child grow their language. I mean, I've done it for so many children, and I know it would work for your child as well. You also get down handouts on pre-verbal skills, what exactly they are. These will be good information for anybody else that is helping you with caregiving. So you can have access to those and start to grow your child's language, and not just by teaching them how to say single words, by working on the skills that come before the talking, and pre-verbal skills are one of them. And then a handout on how to stimulate language. The video module 3 talks about how to stimulate language, but then you get the handout that you can pin on your fridge and have it as a handy tool and access for you to remind yourself of those stimulatory techniques that you can use with your child, even as you're giving them a bath or feeding them or playing with them. And then a list of some common first words that I know will work really well with a child that is difficult to grow their child's language, because they will give you a good mix of all the types of words that will help them be able to not just grow their language or their first vocabulary, but also to be able to have that be a really good foundation for when they go to the next stage, which is putting words together and making sentences. So that's Late Talkers Bootcamp 1.0. Late Talkers Bootcamp 2.0, it has 9 modules. So module 1 has similar modules to what is in 1.0, but it has an expansion of those modules, because really the foundation for any child, a child that is saying 50 words but isn't really progressing as fast as we want them to progress, or a child that isn't talking at all, the foundation is always the same. So if you have your child that is saying 500 words but not putting words together, you need to go back to the foundation and see whether you set a good enough foundation. And if they are saying 500 words and not putting words together, really the foundation might be a bit shaky, and that's what you need to focus on. So module 1 is setting a good foundation. Module 2 is some of the things you can start to do before your child starts to talk. Module 3, stages of language development. It's important to know whether your child is where they're expected to be, or if not, what gaps exist, so that you can fill those gaps. And I explain to you what is expected of a child at different stages, and some of the activities that you can have them be involved with in order to be able to develop that stage. Module 4, how to stimulate language, and then choice of first words. Module 6, how to increase your child's mean length of utterance. So mean length of utterance just refers to how many words or how much information your child is conveying in a sentence. If your child is saying mama up, that child has a mean length of utterance of 1. They are conveying meaning by combining words together. Module 7 is about giving instructions to grow your child's language. So I go more in depth into the various instructions that you can give your child, what would benefit your child, and a basic hierarchy of some of how you can progress your child on from following basic instructions to now following either multi-step or more complex instructions. And all this really just improves their receptive language or their understanding, which in turn will improve their expressive language or their talking. and even their sequencing, their storytelling when the time comes. Module 8, building receptive and expressive language skills. Explains a little bit about what that is, and I explained before that receptive language precedes and exceeds expressive language, which means you can't expect a child to say a lot if they're not understanding a lot. I mean, I encounter parents who hardly ever give their children instructions. They would say to them, or they'll say, oh, the phone rings and my child brings the phone. I'm saying, but that's not an instruction. So their children are very difficult to engage or to give instructions to. And so, I mean, as a result, the parents just don't bother to give instructions to their child, which is problematic in itself, because it's what holds the key to getting their child talking more. And then finally, LateTalkers Bootcamp course finishes up with tips for encouraging your child to say more. So there are more of the tips there. And there's also the bonuses. So you get all the bonuses that anyone purchasing the LateTalkers Bootcamp 1.0 has access to, but you also get many more. You get how to increase your child's mean length of utterance, like I mentioned before, is how much meaning is conveyed in a sentence, as well as semantic categories. Now, what are semantic categories? Well, these are just word classes that your child must master in order for them to have robust language skills. So if they are only learning words that come from one particular category, then it just makes it really problematic for them to grow their language, expansively. The way I explain semantic categories is that semantic categories are like how you organize your brain, like into little compartments that makes it easy for you to retrieve words when somebody speaks to you, when somebody asks you something, when somebody is giving you an instruction, because you've ordered your things so nicely in your library, that is your brain, that there's no confusion about, this is the meaning that was meant in that sentence based on that context. So semantic categories are really, it's really a power tool for any speech therapist, because we know that helps reorganize a child's language skills and get them really growing their language quicker and more smoothly. So you want to know about semantic categories. For those parents who are not sure whether to purchase 1.0 or 2.0, well, you can't purchase both, but if you're unsure which to purchase, my recommendation is, if your child is late in talking or probably isn't yet combining words, then you want to purchase 2.0. Or even if they're not talking at all, you can't purchase 2.0 because it contains everything that is in 1.0. So it's a more comprehensive course that you can keep, you can refer to, on, you can use it with your other children. I've had families that have purchased it for a child and they also happen to have like a little one, and it has just come in handy because those skills stay with you for life. I say this all the time, that speech therapy is a way of life. I feel that way because I have skills that have really helped me understand many things about child development that I can't undo just because I am a speech therapist. So, and that is usually the one thing that I find is missing with parents, particularly those that have children who are delayed in talking or have that child that is just very difficult to engage or to understand. You're thinking, oh, I was able to do this with my first child. I don't know why it's a bit difficult. This child, maybe that child might have a disorder. So you're thinking, how do I get their language going? And you can. The good news is that you can get your child saying more, even if they have a diagnosed condition, even if they have autism, even if they have, name it, they will say more if you know how to engage them and you know exactly what you need to focus on. So these are some of the questions I get asked a lot about what the course is, or just some little things, just the frequently asked questions about LateTalkers Bootcamp. So hopefully I have demystified what it is and how it can benefit you as a parent if you have a child that is late in talking. I know I get asked, when do you access the course? Well, the course is online. Online means once you purchase the course, you get login credentials that give you access to the course, and there are a series of videos, and as I say, there's also a lot of downloadables, and you can go in, watch a video, listen to me explaining something, and if that is too much, you can always just go back, rewatch it. Nobody's timing you. You have access to the videos for a lifetime, really. You have access to the videos for a lifetime. So you can always just use it as a handy, reference point and or a refresher for when you want to know what it is that you need to work on with your child. And really, you will find this so useful. It's like that manual that you need in order to put together a bike. Like if somebody delivered a bike and you had all these nuts and bolts and screws and whatnot, and nobody gave you a manual. I don't know about you, but I would be so confused. I'll be like, I wish this came with a manual. So this is the closest you'll ever get to having a manual for how to grow your child's language that is always there, that you can access, that doesn't expire, that doesn't require you to find time to go for a workshop. It is just there in your house. All you have to do is make time to be able to watch little bits, and I give you very, easy things that you can implement with your child, I said, even in 20 minutes, a day. Even if you're so busy, even if you're just giving, your child a bath 5 minutes, you know what exactly you can start to work on. Because I feel growing a child's language is a science, and a lot of us haven't mastered that science. Just like I haven't mastered the science of doing many things, like video editing, for example. I can't just go and start editing this video. Somebody else, thankfully, is doing it for me. But this is the one thing that I know how to do really well, is grow a child's language. There are two ways to purchase the course. Two modes of payment. You can either pay through PayPal or through M-Pesa if you live in Kenya or anywhere else where M-Pesa is available. So it's just one payment. It's not a monthly payment. It's just a one payment. And I know if you follow the link below, you can get access to a sample of this video if you're not sure that it's for you and you're thinking, what is this about? So you can get a sample of some of the snippets of the modules. I think they are going to be in 3 videos, and then that gives you a good idea as to whether you feel this is a course that will give you plenty of ideas that you can implement yourself. Also, if you follow the link below, you can get a direct link to where you can purchase the course. As I said, you can purchase through PayPal or through M-Pesa. And yeah, so if you have any questions at all, you can reach me through email, or you can just write on here and I will answer them. I look forward to welcoming you to the course and cheering you on as you grow your child's language. And I know that your child is going to have optimized communication outcomes because of your efforts. Thank you.